Thank you for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to the parasite of text messages, the resurrection, Rick Tex. We broadcast out of Elk River, Minnesota. And we're just glad and honored to be here and that you allow us into your homes or into your cars or trucks or SUVs or on your headphones or wherever the case may be, wherever you may be listening. We're honored that you've joined us. Now, what we wanted to discuss today, we had a bit of a series going on here, sticking with the topic of blood. Your blood is essentially white blood cells or red blood cells, platelets, and plasma. Now, we've talked about white blood cells. They attack diseases, pathogens, viruses, bacteria, the bad bacteria. They get rid of waste material in your body. They phagocytosis, which is Pac-Man that eats it up, and then it gets in your kidneys and liver, and then you usually expel it through your urine or your fecal matter. Now, the red blood cells, they carry the oxygen through your body. They carry the carbon dioxide out of your body. They release adenotriphosphates. They bring more blood to areas of stress where you get cut, or if you're working out or lifting weights or contracting your muscles. So that's what the red blood cells do. And then we have plasma, which is what we're going to discuss today. Now, a lot of you may have heard about donating plasma. There's a few companies, Talicris, Baxter, and a couple others in the USA that allow that, or that take your plasma for donations. Now, yeah, they will pay you money. I mean, it's not, if you're hard up for money, it's probably a good idea. But the fact of the matter is, they say it's safe and everything, and different countries have different standards for how frequently you can donate your blood. Whereas America is mostly corporate run and operated, so you can donate twice a week here, but in some other countries you may be able to only sell your plasma about once a month or every 28 days or something like that, 4 weeks. So if you're a frequent seller of your plasma, keep that in mind. I mean, it's not really something that I would advocate or condone for. In fact, there was this little span in my existence where I sold plasma a couple times. I've donated blood before as well. Usually not a big deal. It's a good excuse to get out of work for about half an hour. Now, I mean, as far as whether it's healthy or not, because you think, well, if you get rid of the blood, then you'll just make new blood anyways, so what's the big deal? And yeah, there might be some element of truth to that, but by and large, it might be more that part of your blood has some code to your DNA that's vital for certain functionalities of your body, and then when you just remove it, when your blood tries to replicate it, it doesn't have a copy. Say, for example, you're working on a Microsoft Word document and it's 10 pages long and then it gets deleted. Now you got to redo the whole thing. Now let's say if you make a Microsoft Word document that's 10 pages long and all of a sudden it's full of horrible ideas and atrocious thoughts and everything and prayers, so you have to replace it. Now you have a baseline to work off of, so you don't really have to put in too much effort to replace it. So I mean, you're just alleviating some of the load. So if you just get rid of blood and then replace it, or your body has to replace it off a blank slate, there may be some complications there. I mean, you're probably not going to hear that from the corporate medical industry as far as donating plasma and donating blood. But what happens when you do donate plasma? You'll sit in this machine, it'll stick you with a needle, it'll draw your blood for, say, half an hour. And then it'll spin it in this little centrifugal force machine, and then it'll shoot the blood back into you, which you'll get a little bit of a cold sensation. So you'll get the red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets back, but the plasma will be removed. And when you get that back, it takes you about 24 to 48 hours to recover. Now, back when I did donate plasma, I would usually, I usually pick up and set down weights for most of my life. There was about a 12-year span where I didn't really do much as far as that goes, but this happened to be during a span where I was. And later on that night, I attempted to pick up and set down weights, and the results were alarmingly dismal, like to a great magnitude of dismality. So I figured, okay, I donated plasma, so the expectation was to not reach a certain threshold, or certainly not to get a personal best. But to achieve performance of about half or even less of what I was used to, was extremely alarming. And it's basically what illuminated me to the fact that I maybe shouldn't really be doing this plasma donation business. And yeah, they say drink plenty of water, which is certainly something I do and have been doing for a very long time. So that definitely was an issue. But let's get into the actual plasma itself. So the plasma is the fluid that carries the white blood cells, red blood cells, and the platelets. Well, 55% of your overall content, if the overall blood content is plasma in the volume, it also transfers hormones, proteins, and nutrients, and it removes waste. So, see, the white blood cells eradicates the waste, and then the plasma is a highway for its removal. Well, the arteries and the veins are the highway. Plasma would be, say, if you're floating on a raft. So the actual banks of the river are the blood and arteries. The water is the plasma, and then the raft is the white blood cells, or the garbage, or the hormones, or the nutrients, or the other important proteins and all that good fun stuff. So the actual plasma consists of mostly water, but it also has salt and enzymes along with immunoglobulins, clotting factors, and the proteins albumin and fibrinogen. So apparently that's a variation of a protein. So the salts that are involved with the plasma are sodium, potassium, chloride, and calcium. Believe it or not, chloride does have some benefits to our body. It's found in the nervous system, and it's also found in the plasma here. Sodium and potassium. Sodium, like everything, it's important. It's incumbent to get a very good source of it. Say, for example, you got regular table salt, which is heated up to very high temperatures, and it's mostly adulterated, and it's just sodium chloride, which, yeah, it's beneficial and all, but if you get Himalayan pink sea salt, it's in a more natural state, and then it probably has some other healthy minerals as well, maybe in some iodide in it if it's from a good quality source. So there's other variations of salt too, black salt and blue salt and green salt, but I don't know if those are actually salts, but there's definitely a litany of them. Yeah, the plasma is basically it's mostly water. That's why it's vitally important to drink a lot of water. Not only is it good for the electrical chemical systems of your body, it's also good for the plasma. And it basically lubricates all your joints. And I mean, humans are about something like 70 to 90% water. So like that one living creature on Star Trek said, bags of mostly water. So that's pretty much plasma in a nutshell. It's not too complex. It's not too complicating. Not as complex as the red blood cells or white blood cells. And we'll probably get into the platelets pretty soon. Someday we hope to get a microscope and maybe scope out this stuff. I mean, yeah, you can see some variations of the plasma here. And plasma, when it's isolated from your blood, it's actually a yellowish color. So it sort of looks like urine. And hopefully it's not urine, but like urine, it does remove waste. So there are some similarities to it. Now, that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have to put a wrap on this show, but we certainly appreciate you joining us once again. We'll be back in the very near future. Thank you very much.